Hey y'all, and welcome back. I'm going to do the Q&A. I finally got all the questions as I was reading comments, and even some of y'all emailed me questions. So I've got them all on my notes on my phone. So I'm fixing to go through and answer them. They're in no particular order. But I will say this. I had a lot of questions about me and James. And he and I have actually done a Q&A together. And so I will link that one down below, just on the off chance that I don't answer one of your questions about me and him. But I'm going to go through and try to answer them all. But I will link that Q&A down below where he and I did it together. He's a mess, and it was a fun one. So I'm going to do this, and then at the end of this, I'm going to share with y'all what I'm looking like I'm about 4 weeks post-op. So I still have some healing to do. There's still going to be some changes that's going to be going on. And it takes a full year for my body to completely heal and everything to kind of sit in its place like it's going to be. But I'm going to show you what I'm looking like 4 weeks, a little past 4 weeks post-op. So let's just get started with the Q&A. Okay. Are my parents divorced? Yes, they are, but they are very good friends. They do live at separate places, but you will see them together here and there, and that is their story. I am not going to get into it, but yes, they are divorced. What am I doing about my booth? So, my booth. Since I'm about 4 weeks post-op, I'm able to gradually start shopping again for my booth. For the few weeks that I was down, I had a sweet friend of mine that I met who literally has the booth next door to mine. She contacted me and offered to keep an eye on my booth for me and kind of like move things around, fill in some holes as things would sell and all of that for me until I could get back to taking care of it. And that was just such a blessing. And that was one of those little things that I didn't know what I was going to do, that the Lord already put into place and worked out for me during my recovery time. So she looked out for it for me for a few weeks. And then I've already made a trip back to it, and I've been able to do a little bit of shopping for it. So I'm kind of in that limbo part where it's kind of the end of summer, getting ready for fall. So I'm really wanting to kind of like not keep adding a lot of stuff to it, because the more I have in my booth when it's time to transition into fall, the harder the work is. Like, it's a lot to move out and replace. So I'm kind of like just kind of keeping what I have, not really adding a whole bunch right now. And I'm really thinking about putting a sale on my booth just so I can kind of maybe get rid of some other things just to make it easier for the transition into fall. But that's what I've been doing about my booth. What is my cleaning schedule? I don't have one. I love to clean. Cleaning is not a chore for me. It's actually something I really enjoy. So I just clean all the time. And now, with that being said, that does not mean I mop my floors all the time. My floors are kind of like, I just do as needed, really, because my whole entire house is tile, and so I have to mop the whole entire house, and that can be pretty tough, but I do it, but I pay attention to the weather, and I do not waste my time if it's going to be raining and this and that, and here lately we've had a lot of rain, and I'm not able to do it right now anyway, but as far as having a cleaning schedule, I don't have one. I just clean all the time, and I love it. How does the lift feel, and did it relieve my neck and shoulders? If you don't know, if you're new here and you're watching this for the first time, I am 4 weeks post-op. I had my breast implants removed, and I had a lift done, and instant relief. Instant relief on my neck and shoulders. Instant. When I woke up in the recovery room, I instantly felt relief on my neck and shoulders. I had very, very large implants, like massive implants. And so that weight of that pulling down on my neck and shoulders for 13 years. I had them roughly 13, almost 14 years was a lot. And you add just age and gravity into all of that, instant relief. As far as how the lift feels, once I'm completely healed, I'm going to love it. But the lift was a little more intense than I realized it was going to be. And I totally underestimated the actual procedure. And I think the reason maybe mine has been a little bit more uncomfortable is because he also did a little bit of liposuction on me that I was not prepared for. I didn't know he was going to do it. When he was marking me up the day of my surgery, he decided he was going to do a little bit of liposuction kinda under my arm area, just so it would have a smoother transition. And if you don't know anything about liposuction, it is very, very painful, and honest to God, one of the worst things ever, in my opinion. I hate it. It's so painful, but he needed to do it, so might as well do it, and I'll just heal all at one time. But I'm going to love the lift once it's all healed and I can get my energy back. I'm going to love it. What year did James and I get married? James and I got married in 2013. Are Cody and Delena full brothers and sisters? And they were confused about this because they was asking if I had another son, because Cody had made reference of spending Father's Day with his brother and his dad. So let me kind of try to explain. Cody and Delena are half brothers and sisters. They have different fathers. Cody has a half brother from his dad. But the way that they grew up, Cody and Delena, and then he has a half brother and sister from his dad. They all kind of like grew up together and would hang out together. So they're all like one big family. There's no animosity. Cody's dad and I get along great. Him and James get along awesome. Like, it's so funny. So there's really like no issues there. We were just very young when we got married, and but it's just not a big deal. We're just all one big family, honestly. And I mean, Cody's half brothers and sisters has come and hung out at my house. One's even spent the night several times. I mean, Delena and Cody's half brothers and sisters has went on vacations together. It's just, we're just all one big blended family, and I love it that way, and it makes it so much easier on the kids. But I do not have another biological son. The only kids I have biologically that are mine are Cody and Delena, and they are half brothers and sisters. I hope that made sense. James and I will be married 11 years. The question was, how long have James and I been married? We'll be married 11 years this November. What was my life like before James and I got together? Oh my gosh, a mess. It's a mess. I've had a very rough life, with some good parts sprinkled in, but a lot of heartache, a lot of hard work, a lot of unsettledness. Is that a word? And when James and I met, I was not in a very good place at all. And I'm so thankful to have him, but it took a lot of work, a lot of the Lord. I realize now that everything I went through, most of it self-inflicted, the Lord did use to work on me and change me and make me who I am today. But my life was a mess, honestly. It was a mess before I met James. Will I need to wear smaller tops after my surgery? This is a yes and no. And what I mean by that is, most of my t-shirts are good. I can wear them. They're fine. But some of my other shirts are too big. Because some of the different styles of tops that I have, I would have to buy to fit the chest area. And they would be big everywhere else. Well, now that my chest is much smaller, they just swallow me up. So I'm hoping that my mama can take up some of my shirts. She seems to think that she can if the seams are like they need to be. But if not, that's okay too. But that's a yes and no. How many kids does James have? James has 3 boys. He and 2 of them are twins. You know, it's a set of twins and his older son. And they are a mess. They're just like him. And it's amazing to me to watch them because I know I'm getting glimpses of what James used to be like and what he's like now. And when you get all of them together, oh my gosh, it's fun. How long did I know James before we married? And how long we've been married? We knew each other for 3 years before we got married, and we'll be married 11 years in November. What did I do before YouTube and my booth? I did a little bit of everything. I started out working at a convenience store that my mom and dad owned. I'd run the register. I was a cook. And I've worked at a stockyard in the kitchen. I've worked at a grocery store where I was a stock girl and run the register. I went to cosmetology school, got my license. I did hair and owned my own business for like 14 years. When I got out of that, I went to CNA school, Certified Nursing Assistant School, and phlebotomy. Got my license in both of those, did that for a while. I've been a business manager at a hospice company. I've been a volunteer coordinator for a hospice company. I owned with an ex-husband, a storage unit facility, so we owned and managed that. Oh, let me see, have I covered everything? I've done a little bit of everything, and here we are. Now I'm on YouTube and have a booth. Did I get smaller implants and explain about the liposuction? No. When I went to speak to him about my options, I was given 2 quotes, one without the implants and a lift and one with implants and a lift, and I opted to go with no implants. I just didn't want that because when you get implants, this is what they don't really like explain a lot. That's not your only surgery you're ever going to have for implants. They have to be replaced. And so when you get your implants, it's a commitment, and I just was ready for it to just be done. So I did not get implants. And as far as the liposuction, that was a decision he made based on looking at me when he was marking me up the day of surgery, and he decided to just do some under my arm just so it would be a smoother transition with doing the lift after taking out my implants, because my implants were massive. They were huge implants. Was James in the military? No, he's never been in the military, but he's got 2 boys. Well, one of the boys is still in the military and one is now a veteran. He did his time. He got out of the military. And then we have a daughter-in-law who's in the military. So we are a very big military family. We love our military, but James himself has never been in it. Was I married before Delena? Was I married before and had Delena? Yes, I've been married before. I was married to Cody's dad. I was married to Delena's dad. And for personal reasons, I'm not going to get into all of that. You know, this doesn't, I don't mind talking about it, but I have to take into consideration there's others involved. I'm just not going to say anything else about it, but yes, I was married before. Was James married before? Yes, he was married to the mother of his boys. And then what surgery did I have? I've already covered that. I had my implants removed with a lift. And who was minding my booth during my recovery? My sweet, sweet friend that has the booth next door to me has been helping me out. I kind of covered that. And it was a blessing. It's such a blessing. How many children do we have? I have 2 and James has 3. And they're all married. So we have 10 kids and 2 grandsons. We're a big old blended and blessed family. Because I count my daughter-in-laws and my son-in-law as my kids. I mean, so they're just, when they marry into the family, they just become our kids. I feel by them like our kids. So, yeah. Is this surgery something you could do with minimal help from others? In my personal opinion and experience, no. You're going to need a lot of help. It is a lot more than even I realized. I honestly thought it was going to be easy breezy, and it is not, in my experience. Now, I am 51 years old, so age has a lot to do with recovery time, but even now, I still require a lot of help. Even though my doctor has released me to kind of get back into my everyday life, I still have things that I have to have James to help me with. But the first 3 weeks of it, I needed him and a lot of help. So I personally think you need a lot of help. That's just been my experience. How long have I had my booth, and how much do I earn each month? I've had my booth for almost a year. Was it August or September? I think it was September. Will be a year. And as far as what I earn, I'm never going to get rich off of it. And it fluctuates from month to month. You have good months, you have bad months. I have nothing to compare it to know which is going to be which. But I will say that every month I've made rent and I've made a little bit of money. But nothing like to get rich off of. Some months I've walked away with $200 after all my rent and all that kind of stuff's done. And then there's some months I've walked away with $600. I mean, it fluctuates, if that kind of gives you an idea. But I have a very small booth as well. I don't have a big, massive booth. What made you start your YouTube channel? Well, funny story about that. I honestly I was joking with James one night about it. I said, I watch YouTube all the time. I love YouTube. And I was like, I think I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And he said, what would you do it about? And at the time, Delena was, we were getting ready to start her wedding plans and preparations to get married. And I was going to be doing everything. So I said, I think I'm going to start it and kind of share the process of doing everything for Delena's wedding, and, you know, how I plan it, and, you know, buying the dress and the flowers and the decorating and, you know, all of that, because I grew up doing that. My granny was a florist. And so I grew up doing that. I was very familiar with that. And he said, I think that's a great idea. And I was like, what? I mean, I was kind of like halfway joking about it. And then I was like, okay. So then I mentioned it to my son and to Cody and Sarah, and he thought it was an amazing idea. In fact, he's the one that helped me kind of like figure out how to edit, how to upload, all that kind of stuff. He's my little tech guy I go to with the questions that I have. And, you know, that's just how it started. I started off with like her stuff. I was going to be like a DIY channel. Quickly learned that I don't do enough DIYs to have a video out every week. So then I was like, I'm just going to share my life. And I reached a point in doing this that I was like, I am not going into debt just to make YouTube videos. I will share what I would normally be doing in my everyday life. I don't do anything special just to have a video. If I'm doing it, I would be doing it anyway. And that's how I started approaching it. I break, according to other creators, I break all the rules of YouTube. You're supposed to have a niche. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. I just be me. And this is my life. And I'm glad you're here. And I hope you enjoy and you can relate to me. But I'm not going into debt just to have a video to put out there on YouTube. It's just not happening. And I'm not going to decorate my house in a way that I don't enjoy it just to have a YouTube and fit in with the things, with the trends and the styles. I'm not going to make over a room just to fit in with what everybody else is doing and what they think. You know what I mean? So that's just how I do it and how this whole thing got started. Where does my love of chickens come from? Oh, from when I was a little girl. We lived on a property. We had this big, huge chicken coop. And I'm talking, I was about 5 or 6 years old. And we had a lot of chickens. And my mama would find me sitting out there for hours watching them. I loved to sit there and watch the chickens. It was entertainment. I just loved them. I still love them. They're so funny. They're so interesting. And I have always had chickens in my decor. Maybe not as much as I have now, but there's always been chicken in my decor as long as I've owned my own home, like had my own house, my own place. And then growing up, my mom would have chicken decor as well. I've always loved chickens. It's not because maybe it's a thing now or whatever. It's just something I've always loved. I would love to live in a place on a property where I could have chickens, because I just love them so much, but our HOA would kind of frown upon that right now. What is my dream job? Honestly, this is it. I love doing YouTube. I love having my booth. And they say, find what you love, figure out a way to make money, and you never work a day in your life. And that's exactly how I feel. To a lot of people, YouTube is not considered work or a job. It is. There's a lot of hours and time that goes into it that people may not understand. But it is a job. I have to pay taxes on what I get paid. I have to keep receipts and, itemize and all of that kind of stuff. It is a legitimate job. And then it kind of rolled over into my love of thrifting, turned into a little side hustle with my booth. So I'm getting to continue to shop and thrift and have my booth, and I'm living it, y'all. This is my dream job. The only thing that would make it maybe even better is if I could get paid to like go and decorate houses for other people. I've always loved interior design. Even though I never went to school for it and I don't understand a lot of the stuff, I just do what I like and try to help others, like my family and different ones, decorate with things they love. But that's the only thing that would make this even better, but I love it. How is my booth doing? My booth is doing really good. July has turned out to be kind of a slower month, but my friend that has the booth next to me that I've talked about in this video, she has been doing this for a lot longer than I have. So she's been giving me some tips and pointers and, helping me figure some things out. And she said July and August tend to be a little bit slower because of people are finishing up their last minute vacations. They're prepping to go back to school and all that. So even with all that going on, my booth is still doing well. But there are better months and then slower months, and I'm learning that. So, but I have no complaints. As long as it pays for itself, as long as it doesn't cost me money, as long as I'm not having to buy the stuff and pay rent, then I feel like I'm doing good. As long as it's paying the rent and all of that, and I'm making a little bit back, I'm good. I don't do this to get rich. I'm never going to get rich off of this. The story of James and I marrying twice, and how long were we apart? Okay. James and I were married for a few years, and we ended up divorcing. And honest to God, I cannot tell you why we divorced. I don't even remember that. And I think that's part of the Lord just helping me bury all of that. And there's another part of that story which I'll tell you about. But we were like divorced legally on paper for a year, but we were not apart for that whole year. We would still date. We was working on getting back together. We were really only apart for just a few months where we didn't speak. But we never stopped loving each other. He's the absolute love of my life. I'm the love of his life. We were just totally meant for each other. We just had a little hiccup along the way, but I truly believe the Lord used it to get me where I am today, because I was so focused on James that I didn't have time for the Lord. And the Lord was like, okay, well, I'm going to get rid of your distraction. And because you're going to start focusing your time on me. And I know that may not make sense to anybody. And I know that it may add more questions than answers, but the Lord had to break me. He had to humble me. He had to get me by myself. He had to show me that he was all I needed and he was all I had. And during that time that we were apart, I was still as committed to him, divorced, as I was married to him. Same with him. Like, I didn't go out with anybody else. I didn't talk to anybody else. I didn't want anybody else. Same with him. So technically, we don't even really count that year that we were apart, because we wasn't apart for a whole year. But it was part of my journey with the Lord, and he had to break me, because I was stubborn and hard-headed, and he had to get me to a place to where he was my only source. He was all I had. And I share more about that my testimony on my devotional channel about that. So I will try to link that video down below if you want to hear a little bit more about my testimony. But the Lord he used all of that to get me where I am today in him. Do I consider myself a homebody or a traveler? I asked James this. I was like, James, what do you consider me? More of a homebody or a traveler? He said, you're a homebody. And I have to agree. I'm more of a homebody, but that don't mean I don't like to go places and travel. I love the Smoky Mountains. I love Tennessee. I love like a weekend getaway here and there. But I'm the type of person, I would rather take that money that we would spend on that and put it into our home. Something that we're going to see and use and enjoy all the time. And I know you have your memories and this and that, but this is just how I think about it. But I like getting away every once in a while, but I really love our home and being at home. I'm just very content and happy at home. What's my favorite thing in my house besides James and Buster? This is gonna sound corny, I'm sure, but it would have to be my heirloom pieces that my mother has given me, from my granny or from my great grandmother, or pieces that was from her, my daddy. Just those special pieces that mean absolutely nothing to anybody else, that have no value to anybody else. Those are what I would miss and consider my treasures if something was to happen and I lost them. Say if our house caught on fire or something like that. That's the valuable things that I would miss, and that's what I treasure. How long did I do hair? I did hair for 14 years. I started out working under a lady who taught me so much. I worked with her for about 5 years, and then I opened up my own salon. It was very successful at it, and started out in a small one, ended up having to build a larger one. And then I just got to where I was just in so much constant pain with my neck and shoulder that I stayed in pain more than it really affected my quality of life, and so I had to get out of it. But I do miss doing hair from time to time. How long was I in the medical field? I was in the medical field, I would say probably around probably about 9 to 10 years. It started off as I was got my CNA license and did that for a while. Worked at some nursing homes, personal care homes. Then I got into hospice, but I got into the office side of hospice. But I always kept up my license because if we got a death call in the middle of the night or something, I could go be the CNA and help the nurse. Did that for a while, and then got out of the hospice part of it and went to work for oncology hematology in the office as a aide and as a clerk, like I would do check-in, check-outs, I would do referrals. I would also room patients, you know, get their vitals, their history, all that kind of stuff, and do all that. So I did a little bit of all that. And yeah, so about, I would say about 9 or 10 years I was in healthcare. When was the first time I went thrifting, and what made me decide to go? I'm sure there was times before what I'm going to tell you, but this is the one that sticks out in my mind. So my mom, Delena, Sarah, my sister-in-law, we were all going to have a girls' day, and they decided, with the exception of Delena, she was just along for the ride, the others decided they wanted to make it a thrifting day. And I was like, okay, you know, I just want to go hang out with them. Well, I got bit by the thrifting bug that day. And as they say, the rest is history. But it all started out just a girls' day to hang out. And I've never looked back. Do I plan to offer shipping items from my booth? I've had this question a lot, and it's something I've thought about a lot. Right now, no. But I'm a never say never type of person. I would love to. I don't know when I would have the time, because that does require a lot of time. But, you know, maybe one day in the future I can offer that. I can figure out how to do it. I really don't know how to go about doing it. I've tried to figure that out and talk to some people. But time, and then you add shipping costs on top of all of that. It's just so crazy how much shipping costs. So for right now, no, but again, never say never. Favorite holiday to decorate for? My favorite holiday to decorate for, I love Christmas, but I would have to say it would be fall. I love fall. I love everything about fall, the colors, everything about it. So I would probably say fall is my absolute favorite time to decorate for, but I do love Christmas. Have I ever met Julie in person? I have not, but I would love to. We would have the best time. However, if we thrifted together, we'd probably get in trouble because we like the same things. So we'd probably have an issue there. How do you store your decor? What can take the heat, like in the attic, garage, outdoor storage versus inside where temperature is controlled? I store a lot. The majority of my decor is in the attic, and it's hot up there. But knock on wood, I've not had any issues. Now, I have a few other seasonal pieces that I don't have a lot of. Like, I don't have a lot of spring decor. I don't have a lot of like Valentine decor. Stuff that I have very minimal of. I have a Chester door in my closet back there that I've just designated drawers for those, and those little odd and end pieces of decor. And some of my more precious pieces of decor, my breakable decor, I also have a bookcase in there that I kind of put that kind of stuff on the bookcase. But for the majority of it, I just do it up in the attic, and so far so good. I've not really had any issues with it. But that's just what I do. And have I thought about how I'm going to decorate my Christmas tree this year? I thought about it. I haven't completely decided, but I'm thinking I want to go a little more traditional this year. Like, when I say traditional, I'm talking about using my family ornaments pieces I've had for years. But I am going to use my smaller tree this year like I used last year. I really like that tree. So I'm probably going to use that one versus my 9-footer. Because it just fits better, and I just really like it. And I'm probably going to do that. And I tell myself this every year, but I'm really thinking more this year is going to be this way. I want to do a little less decorating. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's my thoughts. But as far as like it being set in stone, it's not. I may change my mind. We got several months for it then. So who knows what's going to happen. Well, who knows what's going to happen in this head of mine. But that is all the questions that I had. I hope that I answered all of them and didn't confuse you. But I am going to link that other Q&A down below. that I did with James. So you can check that one out. There's other questions in it. And so now I'm going to show y'all how I'm looking. Today that I'm filming this, it is, hold on, I think it's the 16th. Yeah, July the 16th. My surgery was June 14th. So I'm 4 weeks, 2 days post-op. And this is how I'm looking. And I couldn't be happier. So let me roll the chair back. Ta-da! This is how I'm looking. Now, this shirt that I have on, I actually thrifted before my surgery, and I tried it on, but I wish I would have got a picture of it. I didn't. And it was way too tight, and I said, well, I'm just going to put it up, and hopefully I can wear it after my surgery. And now it fits perfectly. I am still in my, like, surgical bra. I'm not in a actual bra like I will wear after I'm completely healed. And it takes a full year for your breast to kind of take on what they're actually going to look like with all of that. So, but here I am. I'm very happy, very pleased with how I look. So that's it. All right, y'all. I know this video is long. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for your questions, for hanging out with me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.